I now give the floor to the representatives of Rule 37. I give the floor to the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. بداية أهنئكم على توليكم.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for assuming the presidency of the Security Council for this month, wishing you all success. I would like also to thank your predecessor, the Ambassador of Japan, for his efforts during last month. Madam President, I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to the member states that have paid their condolences to the families of the victims of Syria and Turkey in the aftermath of the devastating earthquake that hit both countries. The government of my country has appealed to the member states at the United Nations to provide support to the people of Syria and to support the efforts of Syria in the face of this disaster in terms of the search and rescue, or in terms of emergency support. Time is of the essence, and we are racing with time to rescue as many people as possible. Madam President, in 2013, the Syrian Arab Republic have taken a very strategic decision to join the Chemical Weapons Convention and has completely destroyed its stockpile of those weapons in record time, despite the difficult circumstances it has been going through. The United Nations and the OPCW both have confirmed the foregoing. The Syrian Arab Republic has openly and transparently cooperated with the OPCW, as it has facilitated the visits of its various teams and was keen on working with it in order to rectify the erroneous working methods that affected the credibility of its reports and compromised its professionalism and the technical mandate entrusted thereto. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, during this session, and for the largest part of this session, we have been looking into the IIT on the alleged incident in Douma. Thus, my delegation would like to clarify its position as follows. First, the Syrian Arab Republic has consistently and repeatedly reaffirmed its firm position of condemning the use of chemical weapons anytime, anywhere, by anyone and under any circumstances. Secondly, immediately after allegations of an alleged use of chemical weapons in Douma on April 7, 2018, the Syrian Arab Republic took the initiative and promptly requested the then Director General of the OPCW, to send a fact-finding mission to investigate this incident. However, the arrival of the fact-finding mission to Damascus was delayed for a whole week for unknown reasons. Thirdly, on the 26th of April 2018, the Syrian Arab Republic and the Russian Federation brought 17 witnesses from the site of the incident in the city of Douma to the OPCW's headquarters in The Hague to testify on this alleged chemical attack. They have refuted in a press conference all the allegations that have been fabricated and staged by terrorist groups and their supporters, stressing that it is but a staged charade. But the fact-finding mission did not interview them, and their testimonies were not heard. Fourthly, in the same context, I would like to invoke the opinions by many academics, independent military experts, and specialists from the OPCW, such as Mr. Jose Bustani, the first director of the OPCW, and Inspector Ian Henderson, who led the team that participated in the investigation of the Douma incident, and many others that have provided rigorous scientific analysis and professionally refuted the conclusions contained in the report of the fact-finding mission on the alleged Douma incident, and proved that that report was biased, unprofessional, and unfair. Fifthly, the Syrian Arab Republic stressed that the erroneous and unprofessional path adopted by the fact-finding mission on the Douma incident will eventually lead to erroneous conclusions. Unfortunately, the fact-finding mission failed to rectify its unprofessional and erroneous methods of work that it had adopted during its investigations in the alleged incident in Douma, despite all calls for it to adhere to the rules stipulated in the CWC and the terms of reference document agreed upon with the Syrian side. However, the collection of evidence that does not have the slightest level of credibility, and taking samples that lack the legal chain of custody, and relying on suspicious open sources or fabricated and misleading information provided by terrorist organizations and the stooges, namely the White Helmets group that are sponsored by Western intelligence services, cannot be considered scientific or professional ground and cannot lead to any objective conclusions. Mr. Arias said that some samples have been collected where some samples have been received. Is this the letter of the convention that he was entrusted to implement? He used the word the best standards and practices. Is this phrase in the convention? Where did he get this phrase from? Sixth, the decision adopted by the fourth special session of the Conference of the State Parties to the Convention on June 27, 2018, according to which the so-called Investigation and Identification Team, IIT, was established, constituted a dangerous juncture and turning point in the history of the OPCW, as it clearly reflected the huge politicization carried out by the United States and its Western allies in involving the organization in a political maze that undermined its credibility. This resolution that was only supported by less than half of the member states, only 82 out of 193 countries, as a result of the flagrant manipulation of the provisions of the CWC and the clear transgression of its provisions by attributing responsibility that is not stipulated in the CWC. All this has made this team illegitimate. Accordingly, the Syrian Arab Republic and other countries announced that they do not recognize this illegitimate team and therefore they do not recognize the reports issued thereby. Seventh, the so-called Investigation and Identification Team wasted years and years to inform us of a conclusion that is congruent to and that matches the accusations that the three countries of aggression against Syria, namely the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, have promoted hours after fabricating the alleged incident in Douma, and which is used as a pretext to launch aggressive acts on several military and civilian sites in Syria and to impose more sanctions and siege on Syrian people. This aggression is compelling evidence that the alleged Douma incident is the product of a plot invented by those countries to strike the Syrian Arab Army forces at a time when it was making progress in its battle against terrorism, targeting terrorists' dens, cells, and fortifications with focused, precise, and accurate strikes using its conventional weapons. Therefore, this report only serves the goals and serves to justify the aggression by those three countries against Syria in April 2018. And this also explains the applause whereby this report was received by those three countries. Madam President, the Syrian Arab Republic emphasizes its non-recognition of the so-called Investigation and Identification Team and the reports issued thereby, and we categorically reject its reports and its erroneous conclusions, and we do consider the issuance of this report as a new piece of evidence of the continued politicization of this file by the United States and its Western allies. Ladies and gentlemen, 20 years ago, and specifically on the 5th of February 2003, Colin Powell, in this very room, Colin Powell, the U.S. Secretary of State, sat before the Council to play a role in a charade that was previously concocted to justify the U.S. invasion of Iraq under the pretext of its possession of chemical and biological weapons of mass destruction. It turned out later that all of this was just baseless lies and groundless lies, to the extent that Powell himself described what he said before the Council as a disgrace. The more things change, the more they stay the same theatrics, the same lies, and the same mastermind. But this time the target is Syria, under a similar pretext of having and using chemical weapons. Thus, the world must learn from the lessons of the past. The world must not allow the United States and its allies anew to play the misleading game again. The crimes committed by the United States in Iraq are imprescriptible. And thus, we tell all those who pay lip service to accountability that they should demand that the United States be held accountable for those crimes. We wanted them to have the same bravery and to dare to demand accountability for countries that provided all forms of support to terrorist organizations in Syria and enabled them to possess and use toxic weapons and chemicals, and that they would have the same enthusiasm to hold the countries of aggression accountable for the crimes they have committed against the Syrian people and their destruction of Syrian cities over the heads of their residents by their aircraft. Before I conclude, I would like to ask Mr. Arias, who used 1/3 of his statement to speak about accountability, who entrusted him with this task, and what is the paragraph or what is the provision in the convention that is invoked in him carrying out this task? Thank you, Madam President.
I thank the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic and pause the floor.